From losing a shot at becoming a double champ to giving Islam Makhachev his toughest competition yet, Alex the Great Volkanovski has come too far to give it up just yet, and the UFC certainly thinks he deserves a second shot. Champ, double champ, two-division title holder. The list of names for this unique honor is endless, and so is the path toward it. But Alex is used to the hustle, and the UFC may want to have its fun before putting the two fighters up close and personal once more. Dana White, who's in favor of dialing up the heat for the two champs in their own divisions for at least one match, has confirmed a match. As for the Aussie, it might pitch him against Yair Rodriguez. His Dagestani pal will be likely tested against a guy from his own division too. Their combat's a cross-continental saga of epic proportions, sure, but Dana's experience in the UFC beats any competition. And in his experience, UFC 284 was as good as it can be. The mega fight had everything: suspense, drama, and an underdog story. But most importantly, it had a twist. It proved that Islam was more human than we thought. Now, Volk's put the spotlight on Islam Makhachev. The Dagestani champ may have managed a victory, but it was only by a slight margin.
Volkanovski with their body lock, and again straight to it. Cannot take him down. Wow.
And the result? One match that was every bit as sensational, if not more, as it had promised to be. Such hype and potential, of course, caught the eye of the promotion's head, who's ready to give the two champs a rematch for the lightweight title. It definitely wouldn't be possible without the heart, soul, and incredible sass that big man Volk brought to the match. He definitely won that last round, and each round before that one was just a warm-up for him.
25 seconds remain. Makhachev with guard closed.
The Great was just getting started as he held Makhachev down in close guard and prepared to give him ground and pound. It was a clear reversal from a fighter who's just as slick an entertainer and promoter as he's a striker.
I gotta admit though, that Chan Sung Jung's, yeah.
But by showing that he's got much more to offer, he's become even more entertaining and exciting. You could merit a rematch for him simply because of how he exercised crowd control too. The Aussie had them absolutely eating out of his hand. The sign was in the air. The crowd wanted him back in the cage. And the UFC has always delivered. Now that it's demanding a rematch, well, the promotion seems happy to oblige. Makhachev agrees, but he has one condition. Yes, the two have an interesting friend-enemy equation going. Now that Volk too is at a stage where he's being seriously considered for GOAT status, he keeps his business squeaky clean. That includes any rough edges or bruised egos with Islam Makhachev. It's all fair game, in other words. And there's no better proof of that than both champs discussing an immediate rematch after UFC 284.
The body work for Volkanovski will be key.
Backstage, after the fight, the all-rounders of both divisions agreed on a match for the title once again, with Islam adding a clause. It should be in Abu Dhabi this time. My turn to get booed, said Volk, and both fighters laughed with each other like genuinely good sports, sharing the stage as equals. This was the first step Volk needed to take to reach common ground.
Nice job by the Korean Zombie to get back to his rear end and potentially upright.
It was a conscious and generous move for him to concede that the home ground advantage was real this time. But was it really an advantage?
Oh, beautiful takedown to the follow-up. Beautiful job.
Volk also set up that question perfectly by hinting that they do a rematch in one of Islam's professional homes, Abu Dhabi. Might settle the score. Excellent move. But his next step may be more physical and less cerebral. Yes, Alex must fight his way to Makhachev again. Losing his status as a title contender for the lightweight division via a unanimous loss to Islam does mean he'll be off his back for a while. Though the fact that the Great didn't lose his pound-for-pound ranking tells you just how close it actually was.
Okay, wait. He's on a coast. He's on a coast to it now. Okay? Hey, this is everything right here.
His next challenge will be Yair, who's hot off a submission win off Josh Emmett. He's not going to be some ordinary placeholder either. You see, the Aussie champ will have to fight for the crown this time, with the stakes just as high, if not more, than in his fight against Islam. Because this time, he's fighting for everything he's got. So it's clear he'll need to fight him with everything too.
Close fight. Yep. 3 takedowns, of course, for Makhachev, none yet on 2 attempts for Volkanovski.
This includes using those slick takedowns and great stance switches he used to dominate Islam during parts of the game aggressively. The fact that he escaped a neck crank by Islam himself twice tells me of the really high level of standard that Alex has set up for himself.
Now Volkanovski's smiling and grinning, he's playing up to the cameras and whatnot. but he's in a losing position right now.
Now that Yair's made it clear he wants to fight for the title and fight with all he's got, Alex will have to respond with the same gusto. Though he's the favorite now, a fan darling, and the critics' favorite, the former rugby player has a daunting task before him. If he does win though, he'll be the reigning champ, and I imagine someone who could challenge any fighter by name and not have it sound insane.
Oh, big counter now from the zombie.
I mean, it'll be an absolutely historical moment in the game. The game changer will need to focus on first things first though. And first up's simple: recovery. If you remember, the preparation, lead up, the fight itself, all of it was absolute chaos and peak pressure. That type of mental and physical pressure can linger way after the last round.
Elbow gets home. Tonight's Corner Cam brought to you by Body Armor, the official sports drink of the UFC. Grab one today.
It becomes even bigger a burden once a contender like Yair teases you on air for a fight. There's only so much rest you can take before being dragged into another match against an eager opponent. Now, Alex might be dragged into it, and pretty soon, since the Mexican has given an ultimatum of sorts to the full champ. He said, "Sign me up or I'll defend my interim title and become a full champ on my own." In other words, he's ready to kick it up with the Aussie now. It's a style matchup made in heaven, and much different than Islam Makhachev.
First time Islam guys the 5th round in his mixed martial arts career. Beautiful connection with the left hand for the champ.
And that's the
For one, both are great strikers here, with Alex having a bit more ground-heavy stance and knockout punches. On the other hand, El Pantera has a style about him that just airs finesse and cool. It's not as good as Alex at his most lethal though, or maybe it is. Well, that's the multi-million-dollar question, right? The very reason they'll fight. But even as they go on, and even if Alex wins, then too, Islam might be looking at his own challenges. This includes a contestant chosen by elimination from the winner of the Oliveira versus Dariush fight. If he falls to either of the contenders, even if that's very unlikely, well, Alex can kiss his chance of a rematch goodbye. But I guess by that point, Islam will be too tense to think about anything else like Alex. After the homework assignments are finished though, they'll get to test each other again one-on-one. Till then, they may want to break. After all, too much of a good thing isn't a good thing either. Just as it's good to mix up your fighting styles a bit, it's also important to switch up the opponents from time to time. In media and entertainment, you really run the risk of boring the audience by promoting the same fighters back to back. At the moment, both fighters are kings in their own divisions. But this won't last long if they keep knocking up each other. The aggression is spent, and their ability to experiment and take their best shot goes out the window. Also, you can imagine that this monopoly on Volkanovski doesn't sit too well with fighters like Yair. Plus, El Pantera is now interim champ. He deserves a shot at the title, and he wants it now. That's all for what Alex needs to do for a rematch with Islam.